Good evening and welcome to this last edition of the Evening Review for the year 2022. Joining us in studio is Johannes Hango of Naretu, where he acts as the Deputy General Secretary to give us an overview of what has transpired in the transport sector for the past year. Welcome to this last edition of Evening Review.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
In terms of 2022, as a union representing employees in the transport sector, what were the major challenges you had to deal with for this year?
Being a new kid in the blocks, and also the most challenges is that you see when you are coming in and most employers are being evasive and they don't want to recognize the unions, and also you have a challenge of mobilizations and to make sure that yes, you put your aim and objectives across to the targeted members. So those were most of the challenges that we have faced, and difficulty is that some of the employers, because they already know what is coming for them, so they try by all means to prevent the unions entering the workplaces.
Can you cite examples where you had to deal with these instances where, you know, it was difficult to, just practical examples of things where you're trying to speak to employers but they don't want to listen to you?
No, we have encountered many challenges in that aspect, and like I said, that you see, you approach, because it all works with numbers, and we are guided by the Labour Act, which tells you that once you meet the certain threshold, which is a 50+1, then you need to be able to submit your applications in LC 10, and the employer needed to respond. And sometimes the employers, they just look at the applications and they do not respond, and when you are trying to reach out to them, because there is a certain days that they need to respond within a certain period of time. So when you reach out to them, and then sometimes they can even just shut their phones in their ear. The moment you tell them, no, I'm from the union, then I will tell you, no, our employees cannot be able to join the union. So it's just also an aspect of that. Some it's either ignorance, or some is because they do not understand what is the union all about, and they think that they have that authority of deciding whether the employees can be able to join a union or not to join a union.
Except for that example, do you believe that there is a blatant disrespect by employers having a union yourself, or managing a union yourself, from the side of employers, disregarding employee rights, disregarding the Labour Act, and you know, just essentially going to the extent of taking advantage of employees?
Yeah, that is definite, and it's out there. It's a practice that is happening, and it's been happening, and that is why we are trying by all means to break that that norms. And because you find the here in this industry is like employers, when they have employees within their work premises, it's like they forfeit their right. It's like they don't have their right, but they just have to do whatever the employer is telling them to do. So they do not have that freedoms of association or freedom of participations, or they are not given their rights are infringed, because the employers think they are more superiors and they cannot be able to allow employees to do as they feel, even if the Constitution says or allows them to be able or give them that freedom of association.
Looking back past 2022 from the side of a labor union, what do you think you can do better as a union to improve relations between employees and employers, and also the union in this tripartite alliance?
No, the unions have its objective, and any trade unions must be able to live up to those objectives. And when you lead peoples, which is now the members or the workers, you need to be visible. You need to be out there, because people need to understand, where are you taking them? Are your objectives also meeting their needs? Because you need to be able to provide service. A union is not just to be there and to be called a union need to be there to be able to provide service. And currently now is that when you take that responsibility as a union or as a trade unionist, you need to be able to make sure that you are living within the lines of what is the union all about. You need to be able to make sure your member understood what is a union. You need to explain, you need also to be visible whenever there are questions, because you are working with thousands and thousands of people, and these people, some of them, they don't even have a slightest idea of what is the union or what is the benefit they are getting out of the union.
Your union represents members in the logistics or transport sector, and it's well-known fact that truck drivers have to travel long distances, and that they have to work long hours. Do you feel that employers in this space are cognizant or are aware of the challenges that truck drivers have to deal with? And do you think that there are genuine efforts just to make just to make that work-life balance for truck drivers easier?
Mostly we need to understand, because you see, in a workplace, there is the interest differs from the employer to the employees, and mostly the most powerful or the one who have more edge over the other is the employer, and they always pull toward their side and they neglect the side of the employees. And that's why, yes, some take cognizance, but still they are not taking that mechanisms on how to be able to resolve those issues or to put that balances there. And that's why it's all depend for the employer. It's all mostly depends on their client. If their client says our stocks needed to be here at that specific times, then they don't take cognizance to say this person need to rest. This person haven't seen their family in months. So they always just say, please, you need to go load and offload. So the client is waiting for their stocks. So mostly, and that's why we are coming in to make sure that there is balance. We strike the balance there so that each person, because this is a relationship. And when you are in a relationship, it cannot just be a relationship where other person does not have a voice. So we need to create that participatory democracies from the worker side, for them to be able to sit on the same tables, for them to be able to air their concern, their grievances, without being victimized, without being seen as that they are demeaning the employer or whatsoever. So yes, to your questions, most of the employers, they don't know. Some they take cognizance of that, but still they are turning a blind eye on that side.
I want to go back 2 years when we had the COVID-19 pandemic come up, and there was an issue where truck drivers were stigmatized because of COVID-19, because of fears that they were bringing COVID-19 into Namibia, where examples were cited in Walfish Bay, where truck drivers were subjected to living in harsh conditions because of COVID-19. Do you think enough has been done to improve the work life of truck drivers coming off of the experiences we had in 2020 till now?
No, a little has been done, and I think it's that even the government is turning a blind eye on that. And then we must also be able to remember that these are the peoples that they are the backbones of this economy. They are the backbones why there are reasons why we have food on the tables. They are the reasons why we have clothes on, and their work is that it cannot be able to be stopped completely, because they are one of the people that are regarded also as essential services, because they provide medicines, they provide all types of needed items on that we need for us to be able to carry on or to live day to day. That particular time is that during COVID, the people see that there is a need for us to be able to still to import and transport item from one place to the other. And the only persons or only people that can do it are truck drivers. We cannot be able to quarantine these people to a specific area, or for us to say, no, transportation must be able to brought to halt. But we also, there was also not the need for them to be able to look at the issue and say, these are the very important peoples, let's handle them also in a manner that they can also be able to see that the economy continue, and them also be able, their needs cannot be able to be neglected. So that was not to be done, and you find peoples, like there was a camp where truck drivers are quarantined. And if you look at the conditions of these peoples where they put, it's very inhumane. And at the same time, you are saying hygiene is very important, but nobody even took a stand, not even the Minister of Health, to go and look at the camps where these peoples were quarantined, to see the conditions and also to improve their conditions. And if you look at also the wages that some of these companies are paying these peoples, you will be shocked. Some people does not even have basic salaries. Some people are being paid by kilometers. Now, if you are human beings paid by kilometers, when are you going to take times off for you to be able to go enjoy or rest or take a holiday? You can't, because the moment you go on a holiday, then there's no money comes in your pocket. So that is very difficult. And if you look at it, it's also an industry where peoples or the government does not want to introduce a minimum wage. And
yes, you can continue.
And it will be very important or effective, or it can also assist these peoples, that if we have a minimum wage, then it regulates this, it keeps away this issue of any person deciding, I'm only paying a 500, I'm only paying a 1,500. And so there must be at least a line to say, we must draw a line to say anybody who's entering this industry must be able to willing to pay from this amount to this amount.
Johannes, I want to continue the conversation, but before I do that, quickly like to call for a short commercial break. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
NMH at 1 brings you news from all across Namibia. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact nmh1@synergy.com.na. NMH at 1, your lunchtime news companion.
Welcome back to the Evening Review. Johannes, tell me, one thing that is clear is that underpayment of truck drivers is a real issue. What is being done to address this? I mean, you raised the issue now that truck drivers are being paid by kilometer and it's difficult for them to take off, and you've mentioning the introduction of a minimum wage. But from the side of employers and even you as a union, what is being done to address this issue?
We take two steps from our side. The first steps we wrote to the wage commissioner, and we also made the presentations, and that is I think 5 months ago. But until now we did not get the response. We made the follow-ups and also tried to make another appointment, but until now there's no response from the ministry. The second attempt that we are trying to create this balance is that in our negotiations in companies that we have agreements with, recognition procedural agreement, what we try to do is that we try to create that competitive salaries, to negotiate for the workers to have a competitive salary. So while we are waiting from that side, here we are trying to say, let's push it in that direction. So I think this is the only way, because we don't know when the ministry will answer or when we will be able to have a second appointment for us to be able to still emphasize on the issue of minimum wage. We cannot also just sit still and wait for the ministry to respond. We have a responsibility to take care of our people, and we have to do that through our yearly negotiations with companies that we have agreement with.
And then there's been accusations that the police are bribing, are being bribed to silence workers. Are there specific examples?
Yeah, there's a specific examples, and these examples happened in Walvis Bay at a company called Rhinotrek, where the company, after we met the majorities, we submit our applications, but the company refused to recognize the union, and the workers decided to demand for their right to be heard, or their voice to be heard. And in that specific days that the worker decided, they give a notice to the company to say, we are only giving you until this day. If you did not recognize the union, then we will have to take an action. So, and we must be able to understand that this is a labor matter, and the labor matter must be dealt with by the labor offices, which is the alternative dispute resolutions. Now, when workers stand, there was no threat of life. They were not, and some of them who were driving, they were not even carrying items of maybe that can be able to endanger or cause danger when they are not, when they didn't arrive to a specific area. This company mostly transport copper. So what the company did is that they informed the police, and the police came, and when they came, they try and threaten the employees to say, no, you need to drive. If you're not driving, we are going to lock you up, all those types sort of threats. So for us, we take it as a very serious issue, because police officers can only be able to attend when there is an issue of criminals or threat of life or something as such, but not for them to get involved into a labor matters, because that is a dispute between an employer and an employees. And the Labor Act is very clear to say, if these two parties find themselves, which is now the employer and the employees, find themselves having a dispute, there are processes that need to be followed. They can be able to report to the Labor Commission and not to report to the police, because police they have no jurisdictions over labor matters.
This issue with the police, what efforts did you make to address this issue? Did you visit, for example, did you lay a complaint with the Office of the Inspector General to find a solution to this very situation that your members were involved in?
No, we are in a process. We are in a process to do that, because we thought at that exact moment when we diffused that situations there in Walvis Bay, because we went there, and when we spoke to the station commander and explained to him that, you know, he have no jurisdictions to be there, neither to threaten, but only if there is any issues that they can be able to pose a threat to any threat of life or something. And again, the same things happens at in Grootfontein, and that is when we have realized that, you know, these things is getting out of hand, and we need to be able to address it with the highest authorities, or the chief in command representing our law enforcement.
And then, can you just in closing give us a recap of the year in the transport sector, the highs, the lows, and perhaps also you know, how you see your expectations for 2023?
No, I think the beginning was a bit tough. It was challenging because we enter in industries where people does not really understand, and those who do understand, they have wounds that they need to heal from previous unions, and whenever you approach them, they will just tell you, no, the union is just here to collect our money and leave us without providing services. So we've been joining unions, but we are not getting the benefit of being organized or being a member of a trade union. So those were challenges, and also that you know, most companies, they were also not willing to listen, and some of them, they have that tendencies of saying that, you know, it's like the union, when it can come and control the whole company, which is not an issue, because this is a relationship, and where we have to explain to most companies that, you know, a union, when workers are organized and they decide to be in a collective bargaining, it's not an issue of the union to come and run the company, but it's an agreement or a relationship which will be regulated by an agreement that need to be signed. And most people or most companies start to understand they start also looking for advice from labor consultant, and they come on board. So our members also, in terms of the targeted members, we start also seeing the higher turn-ups or registrations of members start going up, because people really they want to be freed. They want an improvement in that industry. They've been suffering for quite some times, and that's also now they see that Naretu is here to rescue us, and we need to work together with Naretu. So that is one of the things that for this year or for that period, that yes, we have seen an improvement from where we have started to where we are now, and even our membership numbers have picked up, and that is very, very important, because any union, any growth of a union, it's based on the numbers of its member. 2023, we see 23 as a year of providing adequate services, because this year was mostly on mobilizations and also trying to sign agreement, and I think we are now no longer at that hard at mobilizations, because we have people in certain companies that are doing that for us, and it also shows that there is a growth in the union itself. So comes 2023, it's a year that we really need to be hard at work and provide services and change this industry, and also trying to push all corners for us to make sure that our peoples within the industries are well protected and they enjoy the benefit that they have to enjoy, and also to create that atmosphere between unions and employers and the employees, for us to be able to work together, because we are all stakeholders at the end, and we needed to have that relationship for us to be able to advance the interest of both.
Thank you for joining us on the Evening Review.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in for the year 2022. We wish you all a splendid festive season. Take care and see you in 2023. Goodbye.